Hi, I am Sapali from English Academic Facilitator. Today I am going to discuss the third part of my lesson, Structural Analysis of a Literary Text. Please note that this is a continuation of part 1 and part 2 of Structural Analysis. So you are advised to watch the previous video before you watch this lesson. So without further ado, let's get started. Now let's look at the preview of today's lesson. We are talking about the elements used by various authors for shifting of focus of their texts. We've already discussed the first element mentioned here, that is how sequence is utilized in literature. And we'll discuss the other four elements today. They are how authors shift their focus from paragraph to paragraph, and then two patterns, semantic field and pathetic fallacy, and then how chronological and prioritized orders link each sections of a text under the element coherence. Finally, how time is utilized to tell a story using flashback and flash forward techniques. First, let's take an example, whistle, and I'll come back to you to talk about how the author shifts the focus. This is taken from Susan Hill's Gothic story, The Woman in Black. Here, the protagonist tells the story of his early professional days as a solicitor. He visits this place where the setting is set. He hears many unexplained noises, which the local community then informs him are from the woman in black, a well-known ghostly figure known in the area. This story discusses the death of a child, which consequently leads to deaths of many children, most notably his own wife and child. Susan's story opens with pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy is the attribution of human feelings and responses to inanimate things or animals. This is done in order to foreshadow a sense of foreboding. Foreboding is a feeling that something bad will happen or a fearful apprehension. The use of simile here, the house felt like a ship at sea, gives the reader a sense of imbalance and insecurity. This prepares us for a roller coaster ride ahead. And the description of the noises is also reminiscent of ghostly sounds such as windows rattling, gale roaring and battering the house, making the chimneys moan. And later in her opening, she compares the wind to a banshee. Banshee is a female spirit in traditional Irish stories whose crying sound tells you that someone in your family is going to die. So the reader gets an idea that the situation is definitely going to be worse. Towards the middle of the text, she shifts the protagonist's focus towards a much more secured place because by now he's tired of being in fear, frustration, and tension and needs to get away from the situation. So he journeys down where he experienced the same situation long ago in his nursery, in his childhood. Now let's pay attention towards the key points of this section. He dwelt nostalgically in the nursery, thinking about the same extreme weather condition he has experienced there. It was the same situation. The wind, in its animalistic behavior, raged round like a lion, howling at the doors and beating upon the windows, but still it didn't have the power to frighten him. But this time it's weird. However, he couldn't divert his attention towards the calm, secured place for long and was unsuccessful in his endeavor as the weather suddenly forces him back into the present. At this point, he turns himself to a kind of savage in parallel to the strong wind. So he injected himself an animalistic instinct to pull away the tension and fear by drumming his fists upon the floorboards in a burst of violent rage until they throbbed. He then heightens tension again through Spider's reactions. Spider is the female dog that he accompanied with. So we expect ghostly activities again. Spider did this to reassure that she simply needed to be let out. So finally, the narrator brings back himself to a much calmer and relieved place, irrespective of the catastrophic atmosphere that carries on its course. That's how he overpowers his fear, frustration, and tension. Now let's move on to another example to see how Carrie Herbert shifts the focus of her story as it progresses. It's about a woman who is observing a naval hunt taken place in high Arctic waters. Here she is torn between the lives of the hunters and the lives of the navals. She starts her memoir with a dramatic description of an idyllic setting where hunting takes place. The opening is full of rich imagery such as plumes of spray, spectral play of color, methodically passing, glittering kingdom, etc., to make the reader empathize with the novels. Let's have a look at the key points of this factual piece of writing. In her topic sentence, she gives an idea that it's an essential contributor to the hunters. The use of a powerful word, essential, shows the intensity of it. Then she explains why. Mataco blubber is rich in necessary minerals and vitamins. They are prone to the disease scurvy due to the vitamin C deficiency as their climate prohibits vegetation. But this novel meat, enriched with vitamin C, prevents them from scurvy. And then it's a source of light and heat for them. And it also feeds both man and dogs. On the other hand, their ivory tusk is used for making hunting implements too. At last but not least, their ivory, though it's brittle, is also used as a central beam for Eskimo houses. At this section, she includes a lot of emotive language to show the women all huddled together to give themselves a feeling of protection as they watch their husband's dangerous hunt. Here she switches once again to descriptive language from informative language. It further explains why it's crucial to them to watch this hunt as if it's a vast waterborne game. Then she moves to another informative section. Here she shifts from one world to the other. Once she urges the hunter to be brave and catch a novel due to some reasons, the hunter attracts her sympathy as he is helpless, being miles away from land, and also his boat is not a trustworthy one because it's only a flimsy kayak that could easily be capsized and drowned at any time. On the other hand, he has no reliable weapon to kill the animal but for a mere harpoon. At the same time, she quickly switches her attention towards novels and wishes them to dive, to leave, and to escape from the hunter. Anyways, she puts the reader in her shoes and let them find a judgment. Finally, she shifts to an argumentative conclusion, creating a breathing gap for the reader to think over the debate, hunter or novel, while declaring her own judgment that hunting novels is essential in Thule. Now you can understand how Carrie Herbert shifts her focus from novels to hunters alternatively throughout the text by changing the language, that is from descriptive to factual.